Hello, welcome. Thank you for stay here with us and for chat with us briefly. The first question is, could you introduce yourself briefly? What do you do and what are your hobbies?
So first, thanks for having me here. My name is Jürgen Gmach. I'm a senior software engineer at Canonical. I work at the Launchpad team, and I take care of the build infrastructure for Ubuntu. So anytime you do an apt install or something, it goes through our little machines. In my spare time, I'm also open source maintainer for the TOX library, most prominently, with more than 10 million times downloads a month. I will give a talk tomorrow about that. And in my other spare time, I love to spend time with my family, different things. Currently, we are on holiday here in the beautiful south of Spain. And in autumn, I like to go mushroom hunting with my kids or hiking and biking and all that.
What exactly will you talk about in your talk? Why did you choose that topic?
I will want to take the audience on a journey. My talk will be about the TOX library I maintain together with two other maintainers, and over the last couple of years we remote the library completely from scratch, and it was quite a journey with a lot of ups and downs, and I want to take the audience with me.
What would you like to achieve by connecting and with the audience with the talk?
I want to take the audience behind the curtain, and they should look behind the curtain of an open source maintainer. How is it? Because usually you go to GitHub or whatever, you file a ticket, and then it's completely anonymously. And I want to show what it is to be an open source maintainer of a popular library, and I want to show them a face, to connect to them, and that's basically it. And maybe I can show the audience a way, if they also want to contribute to open source, how to get the foot in there and how to get started on contributing to open source.
And what is your favorite programming language?
My favorite programming language for many years now has been Python, because Python is a very elegant language, it's very concise, and on the plus side, you can basically use it for everything, for command line applications, for web programming, for backend, for sysadmin, for everything. But the downside is that for me it's too good. I never have to use another programming language, but I would like to use some other language at some time, maybe Rust or Go or something like that.
Many people say simply it's easy. Do you think?
It certainly looks easy, but it's powerful. And when I may quote Guido von Rossum, who the inventor of Python, sometimes he mentioned he even doesn't know everything about Python. So you get an easy start, but to leverage it and to make it work and to know all the nuances is a lifelong journey. And that's the thing which I like the most about my job and also programming, that basically every day you can learn something new.
And in the same way, what is your favorite editor or IDE?
Currently, that depends a little bit on my task or what I'm trying to do. When I'm on some remote server, I have to use Vim. I'm quite comfortable with it, but lately I have been using VS Code, which is a pretty strong editor. It's lightweight, and you can use it for Python, for Bash, for Go, for whatever programming language, and it just works, and I really love it.
Okay, Jürgen, and what was your first experience with free software or hardware?
With hardware, I think it's harder to think about that, but with software it's easier, and it certainly was. I have memories back then from the for the end of the 90s or early of the 2000s, when I tried to make audio working on my Linux machine, which was not that easy. I think maybe that's my first memory, but it has come a long way since then, and it really improved, and yeah, I've been basically using Linux since then.
And An important question for us. What free software project you could live without you recommend?
For me, it's definitely Linux, because all my projects and everything runs on Linux. Because if you don't have Linux, where would you want to run your open source software?
To base Linux.
It's the base for everything, and it's the same when you build a house. You need a safe base before you can put the house on it. And I think my safe base is Linux.
Do you contribute to free software? But with your answer is yes. What is your main motivation for doing that?
So yes, I have contributed to many open source projects. I think it maybe several hundreds meanwhile. And my main motivation about is, at first, because I want to use the software, and maybe I find a bug or want a feature, or I just try to use it, and I see maybe the documentation is a little bit outdated, and it's so easy nowadays that you contribute a quick fix, and then everybody takes advantage of that. And I think the beauty of open source is that you have that every contribution will be multiplied to thousands and millions of people. So it's not like you do something on your own, you use it, and then at one time you have to throw it away, but it may have impact on the whole world.
And in your opinion, what is the best way to start a contribution in free software?
So a lot of people say, oh, you just look for some project you like, oh, I like LibreOffice, but I would not like to contribute it right now, because I always need some motivation that maybe there's a little bug or there's something inside and I try something and it's broken, and this is my way. So this is a very personal decision. So, but my recommendation would be, try some open software, try to follow the tutorials, and maybe you find something which is not super clear, or maybe there's something outdated, and then talk with the maintainers, and maybe you can update the documentation, and then that's mostly the first step into contributing to open source. And at some point you maybe become a maintainer.
Okay. Is your first time in Open South Code?
Yes, it's my first time. It's my first time being at a conference which has in such a beautiful city with palm trees in front and back of the venue, and it's amazing, and it's a very lucky coincidence. I got to know somebody who is helping maintaining open source code, and he told me about it, and then I was like, I need to come here, and here I am, and it's a fantastic conference so far.
Okay, and finally, a little now detail about you from your childhood. Your favorite toy? What did you like to break? Did you eat well, or were a pain at the table? Tell us your history.
Okay, my grandfather had a little sawmill, and instead of going to kindergarten, I wanted always to stay with my grandfather, and I wanted to ride the railway wagon, which is, when you think about now, it's super dangerous, and nobody would allow the kids, but it was like 40 years ago, and we just did it. It had several tons, whatever, and we rode down the hill.
Don't try this with code.
No.
Thank you very much, Jürgen. Thank you very much for staying here and for all your answers.
Thank you very much for having me here, and thanks so much for organizing the conference.
You're welcome.